And Tower Helicopter 74563, are we clear for takeoff now?
Helicopter 563, sorry about that, we had a few other helicopters in the area. Snake 2 departure approved.
Snake 2 approved, 563 on the go, thanks.
You for sure forgot about us.
Oxford 6881, base to your discretion, runway 22 left, clear to land.
22 left, clear to land, Oxford 6881.
Oxford 1296, Falcon Tower, fly straight out, runway 22 left, clear for takeoff.
Oh,
Alpha, number 2, follow Archer, head into your right on left base, runway 22 left, clear to land.
Number 2, 22 left, clear to land, 474, stop.
Oxford 3966, contact me, departure, good day.
All right, welcome to another Flying High with Cam podcast. I got my good buddy Ben Christensen with me today. What's up, bro?
Dude, just another day. Just have a helicopter with you, man.
Bro, how many flights have we done together?
Dude, I've been thinking about that. I'm like, I don't know. I like that I don't know because it's just like a thing. I just always have just gone on flights with you. Either if it's like a project we're working on or going out, or one time I surprised Paige with a flight. You and me and your dad and Paige flew out. There's always been
usually, like, I wanted to do the helicopter in the podcast because usually it's something different for people that they haven't been in. But I'm like, I'm going to have Ben up because a lot of people are talking about branding, about their personal brand, but also business brands. And I want to get into both. But I think in my opinion, you've done the personal brand better than anyone because you've stayed committed to what your brand is. And I think when I think about branding, it's all about consistency. But I was telling this story because I was trying to, nail down this point with people that, hey, if I'm at the lake and I see this silhouette of a guy with a cowboy hat on, I don't need to see his face. I don't need to know anything. I know it's Ben Christensen because that is your brand, cowboy hat at the lake. And it's just who you are, man. And that's what I feel like is what branding is staying true to who you are. But I think a lot of people have the questions about branding, about what do I choose? Who am I? I know when we were talking about mine, there are certain aspects that you were given pointers on. But to be honest, like a lot of it, I was just like, I don't know if I can stay consistent with that. Like you were trying to tell me, hey, you need to wear Adidas and stick to Adidas. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that, man. But talk to me about sticking with a brand.
I wish I could say like I was born with this and I knew exactly who I was, but no one's like really born with knowing that. It's like this evolution. It's like this between life experiences and who you are and where you came from and what you're trying to do. It's like it evolves from that. So when I think about my brand, I remember it just always goes back to photography itself.
Okay.
And it started with that, like, oh, I'm going to shoot photos, and you're trying to develop your style with it, and you're so inspired by other people or athletes and everything, but you just kind of lose it. You're trying to find yourself with it. So,
but in order to have a personal brand, like, do you think you need to stay in business? That's my biggest thing. If you're trying to hit the touch points with a customer, if you have different colors or a different font or different spacing, like it's so hard to stick in their brain. Is that true for a personal brand?
Yes. But I bring it back. I simplify it even more. Imagine I say, if someone's gonna make, if someone was gonna make an action figure of you,
okay, like what would
it look like?
All right,
you simplify it. Like what would that action figure look like? Or if someone was drawing a picture of you, and you had to limit it down to one thing, you're like, oh. And I think about Cameron, I'm like, dude, this action figure's jacked. He loves working out. He loves these certain, athletic clothes. He always has his hat. He has good sneakers. It might be a little bit, different or whatever, but like, you want that now to simplify, because the key to branding.
So you said one thing. Is it like if my one thing was, hey, I always have a hat on, do you feel like that's enough differentiator to be your brand, or is it more than that?
Yeah, it's a lot. I think it's more than that, because it's going down to just trying to, because in life or in branding or campaigns or whatnot, dude, it's so overwhelming. So many choices, so many different routes you can take or whatever. But the more you find out who you are, what you like, what you personally connect with, you start pushing everything aside. I connect with this. Push it aside. I connect with this. You don't have to connect and understand and know everything. You stick to what you know and what you're good at. So if we go back to we'll say clothing or items is, yes, I love
Your Wranglers.
my Wrangler jeans.
Yeah.
So I've simplified enough. I call it like, I have that action figure visual, but then also I call it the dad thing.
I remember you saying that the other day, like, I think you said something like old dads have the best style.
Oh yeah, old dads.
Best brand.
You always look at it. Oh, that's such a dad thing. Your dads wear these shoes or these pants or this hat or this jacket or whatever.
Okay.
And we always laugh at it's a dad thing, but it's actually, I mean, they're to a whole nother level. They got branding down because it's through their life experiences. They're like, I know what I want.
This is what's comfortable. This is what feels good.
And they know who they are. No one can push that to the side because they know who they are. It doesn't matter what trends or fashions or whatever. So you have this base root, So if I'm like,
that's so hard to get as a younger person trying to keep up with style, man.
Exactly.
So like, what would you say to someone that's listening? They don't have a company. They're just, hey, like, how do I have a personal brand and grow my following?
Yeah.
But they want to stay, in style.
So with my route, I was, I grew up in Arizona. And I love the desert and everything, but when, us grow up here in Arizona, all we think about is the Pacific Northwest, green, something different. Or going to California, I want to live in California and go to the beach. I need the ocean, everything that we don't have.
Right.
So my wife and I moved to California. I shot and went out there.
I didn't know that. When was this?
In 2013 through 15, we lived in San Clemente.
Okay.
So, dude, I was surfing every day. I was shooting surfing. I was involved in that industry, and the more I was there, I realized, wow, I love the ocean, but it's not my life. Like right now, we're looking at the superstition freaking mountains and the desert. I'm like, this is home.
Yeah, it just feels
miss
right.
The desert. This is where everything is stemmed from. My creativity, who I am. I was missing that. That local's perspective, like who I am. I'm like, I'm not this California surfer. I love surfing. I love the ocean, and I love visiting it, but like, that is not me, dude.
Yeah.
So this route you take in your business or your personal life, what in my experience, it came down to all of a sudden I was searching where my style is, where my vibe, or where all that stuff, and it came down to way I was raised, where I'm from, the things that I love, and you know who the greatest example of the style and what I build it off of is my dad.
Yeah.
My dad is like, his era represents the time that I grew up, the style, the feel that I've always stayed connected with, and I hold true to that. So I have this base, you call it like the base branding of who you are.
And you said it's kind of like so you camp a lot.
Yeah.
Is that because you grew up camping and now you want that part of your brand? You go to the lake a lot. So you're like, hey, I want this as my brand. When I go to the lake for whatever reason, like I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it stems off of, so I found out, I'm like, okay, I grew up loving the outdoors. I grew up riding horses with my dad. I grew up in Arizona loving the desert and watching old westerns with my dad. And with being involved, I'm a family man. I took all these elements that made me who I am today, and I started of like, okay, how does this all make sense instead of moving it all over? I started simplifying this, just who I am, and I started owning that, and that has been developing my personal brand is basically who I am, because through my life and through my career, I found out your skill or what you offer, everything's replaceable, no matter how good you are. You're replaceable.
I'm like thinking about that. I'm like, man, that kind of sucks, but yeah, he's right.
No, everything's replaceable between younger or better or faster, better technology or whatever.
Yep.
But the one thing that's never replaceable is who you are as a person. And if you dial that in and share that, and sometimes it's hard to put that out there of who you are and everything, but like the more you share and the more you share who you are as a personality, it's like, and your personal brand and everything that makes up who you are and what you're passionate about and who you are, it's like, that's what it comes down to. You know, most of the times I get hired is, I got some photos, a great experience, but some of my biggest jobs was like, wow, I want to work with Ben because they've seen like the behind the scenes, and we're just having a blast, and I'm crazy, but I give it my all, and I enjoy all these, and they know I'm like prima donna, and they won't do this, look at hourly type of thing. I'm like, you got me, let's roll.
Yeah. And I love that, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, because for whatever reason, man, I've worked with a lot of photographers with being the model at Green Mango. So you just have a way with making people feel comfortable behind the camera. For me, you've definitely made me feel comfortable, even though I'm messing up at something. You just have a way of just like taking your mind off it. You know, I don't know what it's called, but I don't want to do it in the mic because it'd be like, like relaxing and doing your thing. And I think when I think about what has restricted me from being, you know, active on social media or growing my following, it's because I'm not comfortable behind the camera. So there's two questions I have. One, like, what would you tell someone that is wanting to, you know, increase their personal brand and they're just uncomfortable behind the camera? So we're just talking just with them. No one else is in the room. Like, how do you become comfortable? Is it through practice? And then the second question is, when you are on shoots, how have you found how you make, you know, models just be so relaxed?
Yep. So the first one, being in front of the camera or being in front of your phone and putting yourself out there on social media, it's hard. It's really hard. You can feel uncomfortable. But the way I look at it is, we all look at like all of our following or how much engagement that story you posted or whatever. You have to forget about all of that. You think about that one person.
Forget about the engagement.
Yeah, you forget about you think about that one person that sends you a DM and says, thanks for putting this out there. You do that for the one person.
All right.
You know, at least you have one person.
You're going to help someone, man.
Exactly, dude. So I put my weird self out there, or my things that I love about Westerns, or my weird clothing, or my shoots that I do, or those trips. I can say now I consistently have at least one person that has followed me from the beginning and loves everything I share. And that gets me pumped. I'm like, okay, at least I got that dude out in
So that would
Nebraska.
be your message, like, hey, get out of the uncomfortableness, and you're gonna change. You're gonna help someone.
Yep, and that's the purpose of it, is sharing your experience and helping that someone and putting them out there. And then when you start to feel it, and you just start going with it, and you just put your, it's like people love that. Everyone loves that, and it's a more of a personal mind game that you just got to let it go, you know, and you just got to put yourself out there. And then for making others feel, you know, feel comfortable. That's what I realized.
And this is more for the photographers out there that go out on shoots. It's so important, at least for me it has been, that you have someone that's just a little bit more relaxed and sees like, hey, this is uncomfortable for this person. They might be messing up. Like the other night at the football shoot, I had to memorize all these lines. I was having to act like I'm trying to focus on, you know, looking good and all these things. It's like, I feel like you could tell I was stressed out. And you're just like, bro, like, just shake it off. Like, let's run around for a minute.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so nice to have. And there's not a lot of photographers, and no knock on them. I just don't think they see the value.
So this is specifically for the photographers. They have to realize this. It doesn't matter if they have all these uppers around them, or creative directors, or owners, or video, whatever. The photographer sets the mood of the whole campaign.
I love that.
No matter what, the photographer does. It's all up to the photographer. So what I'm saying is like, it's all about, sometimes they put so much attention in the shot list or the production or all that stuff, and they're treating the talent or the people they're shooting last resort. I've seen big productions and
where they just expect the photographer to just chill.
It's just chill, and the talent is treated like crap. And I'm like, how in the crap? Like, you know? So it's like, the way to make them comfortable is putting down the camera, engaging with them, showing the photos, getting in front and showing them physically what you're expecting, checkpoints of how well they're doing, but then also knowing and being aware of their feeling. And like in photography, I could be, you know, making a bunch of money just shooting automotive or studio product or weddings or fashion, or there's so many things. But I found out from shooting weddings and events, I love shooting people.
Yeah.
I love shooting girls. I love shooting guys. I love shooting moments and getting their real, authentic, awkward, or great expressions out of them that feel it real. And I found out that was one of my gifts, or what I specialize in. And finding that part of your personal brand and what you're able to offer, you want to market what you are fully confident in. And I found that was the first step. Like, oh yeah, dude. And I not only shoot photography, but my first thing I found out is like, I specialize in shooting people.
I love that. Well, let's talk about that because I think that's probably one of the biggest questions that people ask me.
Dude,
and I would assume
this is insane. I always...
We'll drop down low here.
Guys.
But
So
people are like, dude, how does Ben go from being a like picking up, hey, I want to do photography work. I think most people start in weddings, to now working with some of the biggest brands like Disney World, Boot Barn, Columbia, and of course Hype Farm, man.
Yeah,
you know?
Hype Farm.
But like, how do you go from a wedding photographer to where you're at now? Like, what's the journey?
To be honest, dude, there's no one path or
man.
specific journey. But this right here, if I can explain this, there's photographers that are just amazing, loves the camera, loves photography itself. This camera, I honestly could care less about. The lens, the body, the camera, the photography in general, I can really care less about. It's this. This is the, like
this
the
won't
camera,
make you money, man. Like, so how do you?
No. The camera and this gift that I have, or this skill that I learned, has been my doorway and the gateway to living the best parts of my life and the experience. So I went to school for photography.
Where'd you
then
go?
I went to Scottsdale Community College.
Okay.
And then they have amazing graphic design programs, so I did graphic design. And I realized, okay, I love graphic design. That helped me really understand the branding and development and stuff.
Look at this little cave down
dude,
here.
Dude, this is crazy.
I'll slow down
dude,
a little bit.
This is exactly why I want to come to superstition. It's just rugged. But, oh my gosh, dude, I love, Arizona's the sickest, dude.
Look at that, man.
No matter where I travel, it's like, it comes down to, this is our home, this is our backyard, dude. That cave. Anyways, what was I saying? What it comes down to is, I started off shooting weddings, just like any other photographer.
Okay.
Shooting portraits, senior photos, family photos, and then weddings.
Yep.
Then I found out I loved shooting people, and weddings were the best thing ever to prepare me for the pressure and stress of commercial shooting or anything else, because weddings...
Like herding cats with all the family, or what?
And I've never hated on weddings. I actually loved weddings to the very end. I still, every once in a while, get a high-profile wedding or some athlete or someone. I'm like, yeah, I'll show up, and it always leads to everything. So you think about weddings, they were the best marketing tool. I showed up, and I showed up by myself. I had my bag, my camera, my cowboy hat. Being from Arizona, I'd be in California or destination weddings, and they're like, who's the guy
with the cowboy hat?
You know, and so I was like a walking business card, basically. I would talk with everyone, capture great moments, love people and everything, and I realized I love shooting people, and then I started meeting.
Through weddings, you realized that you love shooting people.
Yeah, I love shooting people, and I love the stress of the time limit, the stress of the bride, the stress of the style, the fashion. There was a little bit of
you're pretty
everything.
unique with that, man.
So there's a little bit of everything you find in a wedding. So one of these weddings, I was shot, I met the designer of bags. The couple both worked at Nike. And then through them, I got introduced to an agency, and I shot this big event for Nike in LA from that wedding.
That must have been huge, man.
Dude, it was...
Like Nike? Come on.
Yeah, it was Nike. So it was like a campaign event thing. And what was that old, he's like never ages, the old big buff black guy, the actor who always shakes his pecs. You know that big dude?
He was on White. What was it, like White Girls or something?
No, not he's the host. He's the host of America's Got Talent, or I don't know. Anyways, he was there. He was the host. There was all these celebrities, but then these events. It was really cool. So I got to use my, I guess, people skills and event skills and shoot that, and it was awesome. And then that led to more, and then all of a sudden it turned into commercial photography.
Yeah.
And then I shooting all these different campaigns, and then telling stories, because I really specialize in bringing in, people's personality. So I was shooting in the fashion to commercial to outdoor industry, doing all these things for years, and it led from weddings to doing all these brands, which was really cool. But I wanted to go in, I found out, like, dude, in production, you'll find out photographers or anyone in there, you get to these higher, bigger jobs, and you think you need to do this higher profile production like everyone does every time, but you don't, dude. Dude, you keep, it's from the very beginning, you make sure they know who you are.
Yeah.
And you have your own system to best perform the best you possibly can and to leave a mark when you leave. The best thing is you can get referred for more jobs before they even see the final product, and that's when you're doing something right, you know?
I love it because what I hear you saying is like there's this principle that I teach all my employees, and that is ready, fire, aim. And most people are ready, aim, fire. But when you ready, fire, aim, it's taking the opportunities that come even though you don't know the outcome. And so many people, I feel like, lose out on opportunities because they're scared of the unknown, or they aren't wanting to be open. A lot of people don't open their eyes to see those opportunities. So when you went to Nike, you developed a relationship there that catapulted you to the next thing, and then you were because you were open and looking, you were able to jump to the
Totally.
next thing, like filming people and telling stories. And there's just so many people out there that just don't open their eyes and they just keep their head down.
Yep.
And that's why I tell everyone that works with me is like, hey, I want to help you have the best opportunity that you can here, but I hope I can catapult you to the next step in your life. And this was just a great learning experience for you.
And it's cool, from that event, I worked with this big agency, and then they were shooting a big commercial shoot in for Dick's Sporting Goods in Arizona.
Yeah.
And they remembered me. And they're like, man, we need to have Ben, because they're doing this video commercial, but we need to have Ben to shoot photos.
But because they probably wouldn't remember a normal photographer that just came in with no cowboy hat,
Yep.
just, and I don't know. It's
sometimes
just,
you
crazy,
don't need a cowboy hat. Sometimes you just need to have conversations with everyone and to share your passion, like what you love and what you specialize in, and then be a helper and be just get involved and just give it your all. And because of that, Dick's Sporting Goods reached out to me, and I'm like, where is it at? And they're like, in Tucson. I'm like, oh, awesome.
I'm here.
I'm like, I'm going to ride my Harley down there.
Oh,
and it was a
man.
big video commercial shoot. So I show up to this production on my Harley in my one little bag. Not a huge, stupid 8-person photography team. I show up with my Harley, one bag, and the director of the video commercial, they're like, who the hell is this guy? What's going on? So I just did my thing. I took photos. I wasn't in the way. I was involved and just did my own process, how I know I can just blow their minds.
Right.
And then that night, I stayed up really late and delivered all my photos I shot for that day the following day, because it was like a 4-day shoot.
Okay.
So by the second day, I already delivered to the client. So everyone was sharing and looking and talking about my photos all along set on the second day.
Dope.
Over-delivered.
Like, who's this guy that's already delivering?
And then all of a sudden my product backed of my weird, crazy process. And then from that, the commercial shoot, now the director liked working with me. So the director was shooting a big commercial for Disney World. And they're like, hey, we got a guy. And they introduced me to Disney World. And then I went to the same thing. Flew out, cowboy hat, had one or two assistants with me, came out, did my thing, my process, and gave them my, what you call the personal brand Ben Christensen experience, whatever that is, for them to remember me and be grateful for being hired. And then from that relationship went from that director now straight to Disney World, and they love how I capture people. They see I'm a family person and all that stuff, and now I've been working over 20-something projects for Disney World for the last 4 years.
So sick, man. And that you talked about family at the end, and that's always something that I appreciate because I know as a business owner, it's a hard balance. And, my 10,000-foot view that I have of you is that you're a great dad. You always spend time with your kids. And one of the things I love is you're always happy. I don't know if in the last 13 years I've known you where I've ever seen you really down.
Dude, I get pissed. I get so mad.
How do you manage all those things? Because it's stressful to be a photographer, right? I'm sure there's some times or months where you don't have any work, and if you don't have any work, well, there's no money coming in. So
exactly,
how have you kind of managed that? What have you done there?
Dude, there's so many times when it's hard, and I feel like I need to shift paths, or what I call grown up, or grow up a little bit, or do a normal job or whatever.
Yeah.
But for some reason, between the passion and what I love, it always brings me back to this path, this unknowing path of where this is leading. I don't have this end goal. I don't know happening over the next 5-10 years. I know what I want to accomplish and I want to do,
Yeah.
but the world is always changing. But
So would that be important, like advice for a photographer? Like, hey, it's like even if you have work right now, you always need to have your 5-year goal of where you're wanting to go as a photographer.
you have the goal, but you never want to feel comfortable. You always want to keep moving. My question is, I ask, what's next? What's next? You want to stay ahead of it. You want to still create. You want to do personal projects with commercial projects and family time. So when I say, we talk about family goes right back to my personal brand.
Yeah.
I'm a family man.
You're always posting the videos of your family dancing.
Yeah, my family is just as important as my cowboy hat, riding Harleys, or what I wear, or how I act.
Yeah.
And me being religious and being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm a crazy Mormon from Arizona, and I love it. I'm involved in it, and it's part of my balance in life. I need this checkpoint in my faith, a checkpoint in my family, a checkpoint that keeps me, all these things, these balances.
Yeah.
And I'm not balanced. All these things slap me and keep me on check of where I need to be.
Was there a time where you kind of got off balance on those things, or not really?
Always. You know what I mean? I'm always where I'm putting more time into, Harley stuff and that, or time into, Western, or too much in the family, and then I got to get back into making sure work's coming in, and so I'm always off balance. We're always off balance.
Yeah,
so it's
sure.
but it's always having that common ground of what's important to you, and I found that was what's important. And I found, what's cool about it is now with all my travels, no matter who I'm with, or anyone's opinions on faith or family or career or whatever,
yeah,
I tell people about who I am. I don't drink, or I don't, party, or I love Arizona, I hate LA, or I don't like, or whatever. Everyone, no matter who they are, there's respect and because I'm not telling people how to live, I'm just sharing what I love, and there's respect. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, it's cool how you've been able to carry that attitude and that character even when you're stressed out. You can go into a shoot, you can maybe it's putting on the bent face or being happy and just going. So I love that, man. You've never showed up to a shoot where it was oh, Ben's having a day. And everyone's kind of entitled to that, but you've never done that. I think that's really cool.
Dude, well, I appreciate that, because I've been shooting photography for 15 years, and it's all come from photography, and I'm grateful that I still love it today as much as I did, that I started, because of what evolved from it. It's not only the photos. It's man, I can talk for days of these life experiences that I've had, and the people I've met, the experiences that I've been able to do, and the stories I've been able to share, all from photography leading to, directing, leading to creative directing or brand consultation or helping bring visual campaigns to life. And now I have some of my favorite videographers I hire and work with, other photographers I hire and work with, or designers or whatever, all over this country where it's
you're it's
the
ultimate
creative world.
Creative, bro. You got things everywhere.
Yeah, I just gotta keep it going and just love it. But what it comes down to is every time you call me and you need me to help you with a campaign, I'm grateful, because it's another person that sees what I'm capable of and supporting in a career that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
No matter how small the job is or big the job is, no door is closed in Ben Christensen.
So you'll always take them.
Yeah,
I love that, man.
I want the door to be open. Anyone could call me for any shoot, no matter how small or big, and I can lead them in the right direction, or I can shoot it, or I can get someone there. The door is always open.
Yeah, that's the power of networking. There's a lot of, I consider successful, high-profile people that are always willing to take the lunch for a guy that hasn't, made it very far in life yet. And I think that's really cool, and keeping that open and always networking. But in closing, man, I would assume there's a lot of photographers out there or people on their personal brand that have been doing photography or trying to do something with their brand for 3 years and they just feel stuck. In closing, what would you tell those guys right now?
I would say two things. I had a graphic design teacher say, the creative world or business, it's so hard, you always want to keep everything to yourself. But the more you share and the more you give, you become the source of all knowledge, basically. You
like
come
share
to
what though?
Share, you share, I share my shoot locations. I share my ideas,
Okay.
because by the time it comes out of my mouth, I'm already thinking about 12 other things in the
I love
future.
it.
So it's like the more you share, you become the source instead of keeping away from everything. You give and share. It overpowers anything and everything. So I have no secrets in my career. I have nothing on my own secret spots or how I do things. I share everything, which was the best advice a graphic design teacher ever gave to me at the very beginning, and I always kept that. And there was many good things from that. And then there was one other thing. It was a good one.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. It's let me think about it.
Well, maybe it'll come to you. You mentioned sharing, and I think what's cool, you've done it a few times now, is your workshops.
Yes.
And just really quickly, because we're running out of time, but talk to me about the why behind those.
So,
and obviously, I'm sure you'd want anyone listening to come to them. Are you talking about it on your Instagram, or what? What's the why?
So I love sharing my experiences, and I've always wanted to teach some workshops. But I personally couldn't do workshops because in the beginning of my career, I couldn't afford $3,000 or $1,000 or $1,800 to do a workshop because.
Is that what they mostly like? The workshops that you put on, someone would have to pay $3,000 to $5,000 to go to.
Yeah, 3 to 5. If it's more of like a weekend thing, but it's like if it's like a day thing or whatever, it's up to $1,000, $1,200 or whatever.
Yeah, that's.
And I remember back then I couldn't do that. I was like, man. So I think about it today. I want to do these workshops and teach, but I didn't feel right for me to charge that. And so I've wanted to do free workshops. So what I'm doing now is I open up these free workshops. It's basically me not teaching. It's basically doing a shoot and inviting these groups
just to come
along. Let me show you what I do. And it's cool. I have so many people showing up, and now it's evolved where now I'm going to actually do more intimate workshops, a group of one-on-one or a group of 3 or 5, where yes, people can pay for those and bring it to the next level, but I will always have free workshops for everyone.
I love that.
And it's just been so much fun. And because of that, I've met other creatives, other people. So
networking.
Dude, it's fun. So it's like, and it comes down to, my last thing is personal branding.
Yeah.
If you can sit down, or your personal branding, and you can write down the top most important things to you in your life. Put the business aside.
Yeah.
Put everything aside. The top 5 most important things to you in your life and how you want to live and what you never want to let go. Build your brand off of that. Not style, not trends, that. And if it's a company itself, you think about the company itself as a living living being.
Yeah.
And what's the top 5 most important things to that living being? If it's Green Mango, if it's Hype Farm or whatever, and hold on to those and build it off of that.
Build it around there. And that gives you a good base of where to create content around. I love that. I think that's super helpful, man. Dude, I love you. I appreciate you. You killed us, so thanks, man.
Dude, I can do this all day.
Falcon Tower helicopter 74563, 8 miles to the southeast, inbound Snake 2 departure to the backside hangars.
Dude, look what I brought you, dog.
Thank you, man. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, say that one more time for 563.
That was a 563 Snake 2 approved.
Snake 2 approved, 563. Bro, Twix, man, come on, man. Thank you. No, she took Banks's GoPro.
Yeah.
And I had a picture of us with these in the helicopter from our Moab trip, and she's like, I thought you were smoking at first.
Dude, we should open it and have her take a photo of us. Both freaking.
Oh, I gotta keep my hand on the wheel, man.
Oh, dude, no, I'll put it in your mouth, dude.
Oh,
I saw that, dude.
Oh, good old Twixes, man.
Good old Twixes. There it is.
So what's the story behind the Twixes? Because you never told me.
So, I mean, when I went on my mission, I don't know why, but my dad and I, we love Twixes. And so when I went on my mission, for whatever reason, we made a pact, hey, we're going to go 2 years without having a Twix. And so when I got home from my mission, literally coming off the plane, opened up a Twix and had one with my dad for, never had one in the past 2 years. And then when Ben came on the Moab trip, we busted them open. And Tower 563, down and clear, good day.
We done did it.
Hello, 563, Roger.